Happy August, campers.
Yes, August indeed. August, kind of hot where I'm at right now. It's getting to the point it's kind of dry as well. It's also, there's some vacation time happening. So I will be working on the road. I'm going to visit some family. I'm going up north for a bit. So if I'm not as responsive as quickly as you'd like, Kian is at your service. So what do you have for us today, Kian? What's going on?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, as you mentioned, I'm here to help out. So anytime you guys would like, just email camasterb@gmail.com or camp at ucdavis.edu, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So for current candidates, a reminder, this is practical season. Most candidates take their exams historically in August, September, around there. So if you haven't thought about your practical exam, now is the time to think about it. Want to sign up for your slot as well as soon as possible. If you're part of a satellite and you're part of a prep course, they may have their own scheduling system that they should have talked to you about. If you are not part of a satellite, or your satellite doesn't offer a prep course that has the practical exams integrated into it, you can sign up through our website for the practicals. So you just go to the evaluation tab, and then there's a scheduler linked inside of there, and you can select your time slot, and they're typically on Saturdays. And remember, there's different options. You could do it in person, or you could do it at your own apiary via Zoom. And there's also another option as well, in addition to those two. So yeah, I mean, make sure to schedule that and review the score sheets beforehand.
Yeah. And so those score sheets are really telling. Tell us how to get to them. So we go to the candidates tab once we're signed in on the website.
Yeah.
And we click the candidates tab, we go down to evaluation, right?
Yeah, so you hover over the candidates tab, and then you click on evaluation, and then under there, in addition to the scheduler link, which I mentioned, are the score sheets.
Yeah. And that's where we can, folks, if they want to, they can book their office hours there too as well, right?
Correct. Yeah, if you have any questions about the
Yeah.
score sheets or anything. And the score sheets, highly suggest to review those in detail beforehand. For example, for certain sections, the proctor will prompt you on what to look for. So during the exam, you don't have to memorize exactly what to look for. Like, for example, can you look for honey or nectar, and you just demonstrate where that is and identify it. The proctor will say, show me honey now. So it's not a test on memorization. Remember that. So you don't get too nervous. The proctor is there to help you and prompt you and guide you along. So it's not going to be, and each proctor is a little bit different, but the proctor is not just going to stand there and expect you to go through the whole score sheet without helping you out. So that should help.
Yeah, indeed, for sure. I also appreciate that all that we need is right under candidates and evaluation. And in that evaluation tab, you were saying that we can also book our exam if we want to come in person to one of the satellites, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And if we're gonna take a video of ourselves, that's the place where we go to upload our video as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's super important tab, right? Under candidates and then evaluation. Yeah. Thank you.
Everything's
John.
there. Thank
you.
you.
It's so organized, and for that I am grateful. Thank you for your service in bringing that all together for us. It's
My
great.
pleasure.
Yeah. What else do we have going on?
Yeah, so this month there are no camp classes, so that should hopefully give you time to schedule your practical if you're a current candidate, or if you're just following along with camp and what's going on, and you're interested in actually enrolling in the certification program. You're not currently in it. We have certification program info session on August 23rd, 7 to 8 p.m. That's remote. We'll go through the whole program and discuss if it's the right fit for you and how it can be value for you. And we'll also answer any questions you have. And even if you can't make this session, in the certification tab on the website, there's a recording of the previous one. And we update that recording every time we have it. So this is the only event we have this month.
Okay, yeah, and I will not be there on the 23rd, but Kian, you're gonna drive the bus and you'll get everybody to where they need to be. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beekeeping tips corner. Good time to make sure mic counts are low, right? Because soon we're gonna be seeing our bee populations on the decline, and we want to make sure that mites are low right now so that we can be proactive around keeping our bees healthy over the winter. And in some parts of the state, I hear that there is some dearth happening. So check to see if your bees are bringing in any nectar. And if they're not, perhaps you could consider feeding them. Just make sure that you've already, taken the honey off, because you don't want to be putting up sugar water as honey, right? Yeah. So those are the tips that I can think of right now. Treat for mites if you can, and feed if necessary. And we'll include a couple of tidbits in our newsletter. I hope you get a chance to read it.
Thank you. Yeah, and also, this isn't really Beekeeping Tips Corner fun fact, but Wendy and I were poking around and we were looking at where the epidemic in Australia in terms of the varroa mite infestation is at. And just to share with everyone, it seems like there's no major updates. They're still trying to contain it. And some beekeepers have a positive outlook on it being fully contained, but other ones don't. And there are a few places where there's new infestations beyond the quarantine area. So it's too early to call by some reports. But essentially there's no major movement either way to end the epidemic or to declare that it's not going to ever end or be contained.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a tough one. It's disappointing for Australia, unfortunately. And my fingers are crossed, and my hope is that Tropicalaps stays in Asia, and that we in North America, the rest of the world, quite frankly, never really have to deal with an outbreak of Tropicalaps. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Are
unfortunate.
they developing any types of mitigation, like biological or chemical for AAA? When did you know? Or
They've done some research. Dr. Samuel Ramsey has a couple of great YouTube videos, and he also has some other research that he's done out of University of Thailand with Jeff Pettis. And they, from what I recall, use sulfur successfully and formic acid successfully, but it's all still in the works. So it's good to be prepared. So as the scouts say, be prepared. That's what it's all about. It's important to be proactive, especially with mite counts right now going into the fall, right? So
yeah, full circle.
yeah, keep those mite counts low. and make sure that your bees have access to at least something to feed on. I also for events, I'd like to remind folks to consider we have 8 spots available for the CSBA convention, California State Beekeepers Association convention, A Day in the Camp, which is happening on Wednesday, November the 15th in Costa Mesa. So it's in the south. And if you feel that you would like to contribute and be a part of that, we'd love to have you. And again, there are only 8 spots left. And the reason why there are only 8 spots left is because there is a limit on how many volunteers CSBA allows the camp to bring in. And we've slated 12 spots. So 4 are taken. Yeah, so consider sharing your day with us at CSBA Costa Mesa Wednesday, November the 15th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It'll be lots of fun, and we'll be able to get some advice and some insight from our panelists that will be available for us. Boris Baer from Cyber, UC Riverside, Jerry Hayes, Bee Culture, and Randy Oliver from Scientific Beekeeping. So it'll be a day of lots of learning and lots of available time for Q&A about those burning bee questions.
Yeah, special event I'm looking forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just to get together in person for a change too, right? That's the other great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just talking about AAA labs, and you just said Samuel Ramsey's going to be there, right?
Yeah, he's one of the presenters. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
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 If you want to learn more, come to CSBA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hi campers, today we're at the Harry H. Laidlaw Honeybee Research Facility. It's actually the headquarters for CAMP and for the El Nino Bee Lab, which is our parent organization. And behind us we see some research hives, and with me today we have Joe Tauser, who is the facility manager for the Laidlaw Lab here.
Oh, thank you for coming out to UC Davis.
Yeah, so in terms of the history of this lab, I think camp members would be interested in knowing, when was this lab or this facility established?
I believe the facility was built in 1972. It's been here for quite a while. The university has been focused on entomology for quite a while. I believe we were established as a satellite of Berkeley in 1926.
And so over the years, this lab has generated some innovations and some research that's affected the beekeeping industry, correct?
Yes.
What are some of these?
So Harry Laidlaw is called the father of honeybee genetics because he developed artificial insemination, or instrumental insemination, as it's now called. Here in California, we work closely with queen breeders, industry leaders in beekeeping, and also closely with the leaders of the crops the beekeepers pollinate. So we work with the Almond Board of California as well as the Sunflower Association of California.
Okay, so all the research being done here is applied research that actually affects farmers and California communities. It's not just all theoretical, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And you specifically, what is your history with this lab? Why did you decide to become facility manager here?
So I grew up on a family working farm with about 6,000 hives, and I wanted to do something on my own. We have 3 labs inside of our facility here working on honeybee entomology. We have the, as you said before, Dr. Elena Nino lab, and then we also have the Brian R. Johnson lab, which works on honeybee behavior. And we have the Williams lab, Neil Williams lab, and they work on native bees.
Okay.
Work with native bees.
So a variety of different research topics in just one space, one research facility.
Yeah, and it's good. We're working on phytochemicals and nutrition for the bees, along with the USDA that's next door. And then we also work on honeybee genetics still. It's an ongoing, every year we're working on something different. We're working on queen breeding programs. That's part of our mission.
What is the research currently being conducted at the lab?
I'm glad you asked. So we have 3 labs here. We have the El Nino lab, which works closely with the USDA on phytochemicals and queen viability. Longevity studies. We have the Brian R. Johnson lab, and they work on honeybee behavior as well as circadian rhythms, and as well as and a lot of applied research. And then we have the Neil Williams lab. It's working on the interaction between honeybees and mostly with native bees and the ecology and their interactions with the native plants.
So not just honeybees, there's also native bee research being done here as well.
Correct.
Okay.
We have a dark room that's full of different bombus.
Oh wow. Yeah. Genius.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the work that you do yourself here at the facility, what does that typically entail? What does a typical day as a facility manager at this facility look like?
My job here is to help facilitate the grad students' research. So our grad students will come up with projects. I help them every inch of the way. I help them on design, what they're looking for, the best way to go about finding that research, finding that with the beehives, best management strategies for working with the hives. I can show you some hives later.
Okay, yeah, we'd love a tour. That would be great. So your role is not just purely the mechanical, like maintenance of. You actually provide beekeeping advice and get involved in the management, beekeeping management side of things.
Correct.
Okay.
So we have over, or just about 200 hives altogether at any point in time on campus that we work with. Here we are in a queen breeding lab. We have 44 hives here, nucleuses for raising a queen. There's 3 frames in each. They're about 6 inches by 8 inches. And we raise over 200 queens a year at least. We bring in genetics from outside and breed them with our stock. We have different missions for different what we're looking for in breeding. This is an example.
And what are these PVC pipes that are attached? Well, why are they attached to the?
It was for the PVC pipes are for one of the studies. We had to keep the queen in the dark, and we didn't want even a little bit of sunlight to peek through. This facility provides us some unique equipment to manage honeybees. One of them is this freezer that gets down to -20, and we can put hives in there, hive bodies in there, when over the winter, or if we want to eliminate wax moths or whatnot, we can just stick them in there for 24 hours. Eliminates almost all of the pests and diseases in a beehive.
How many freezers are here at the facility?
We have one big one, the big walk-in here, and then we have multiple small freezers, just for chest freezers for lab supplies. So this is one of our storage units that we have. We can lock it or shut it from the outside, and it keeps out the wax moths. So we take the hives directly from the freezer to in here to make sure they're clean of wax moths, and then we know that the wax won't be damaged over the winter. We do have an ability to harvest our own honey.
Do we sell honey?
No, we don't sell any of our honey. We mostly just give it away to people if we do make honey. We did make quite a bit of honey this year, though it's with the brood frame, so I'm not going to harvest any of it. I'm just going to let them feed it out themselves. Here we have 4 incubators we use for emerging bees. We have the bombus and the ones on the right. We use this one for honeybees. We also have another 2 incubators that we use for raising queens to be artificially inseminated. This is our wet lab. We do a lot of chemical analyses here. If we need to do any sort of mixing of phytochemicals or supplements that need to go into the beehives for experiments. This is where it's done. We also have an x-ray machine on the other side.
So this room is for classes, for meetings.
Right.
Okay.
Industry meetings as well come in. We have the California Beekeepers Association meets here. So here we have brand new TVs. These are D10s. They're hooked directly to Zoom, so we can teach hybrid classes.
Okay. So we always appreciate feedback for these videos and for this newsletter, which these videos are attached to. We have an anonymous feedback form linked in the description. Please fill it out with any feedback you have. We appreciate it. We review it all the time and we make changes based on it. And with that, we thank you and
Yes, be
be
well.
well.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you.